haven't watched the Grammys in a really long time because the Grammys haven't been entertainment in a very long time. These award shows, they have seemingly turned into celebrities doing political stunts and issuing political statements. Speaking personally, I consume enough politics throughout the week that when I turn on an award show, it's just not what I want to see or what I want to hear. And I think I speak for a lot of Americans when I say that. Over the past few years, I think back to 2020, I think that's when I personally started to notice a lot of this, right? We saw celebrities showing up advocating for LGBTQ rights or BLM or the environment or wearing the dress that says eat the rich. And I just don't really understand it from a business perspective. Why? Like, why must they make themselves political when in nature, that's not why they have the platform that they have? And hear me when I say, I'm not trying to dissuade them from having political opinions. I actually think it's a good thing when people are involved and they care about what's happening and going on around the world, regardless of who they are. But that's not why they have the platform that they have. It's not why they have the audience that they've built up. And I mentioned this advice that I'm giving. It comes from a business perspective. Just ask Bud Light, right? They have this commercial with Dylan Mulvaney, like dressed up as Audrey Hepburn, it seems, in a bathtub drinking beer, which never made sense to me, by the way. I don't know why or who they were trying to appeal to. It didn't seem to me as if they're trying to appeal to your standard beer drinker, but nonetheless, in doing that, they've essentially alienated more than half of their target market, and they're still trying to walk it back. There's this new Budweiser commercial. It's got this like beautiful Clydesdale, and it starts as this little pony, and there's a little chick that falls from the nest, and you can't tell what the chick is, like what kind of bird it's going to grow up into, and they evolve and they grow together, and then the final scene is this big, beautiful Clydesdale running into the wind, and these eagle wings spread, and it's an eagle, and I guess it's meant to make you feel very patriotic and prideful for your country, right? Like, you see where I'm going here. Budweiser, Bud Light, they now realize that woke is dead, but these celebrities have not. And they've adopted the same business model, alienating essentially half of their base. And in general, these award shows, whether it's the Grammys or the Golden Globes or the Oscars or any of these rooms filled with Hollywood elitists attempting to make themselves relatable, I guess, they're just not. What I see when I watch some of these clips is rich people telling poorer people to hate the rich. They try to make it as if they understand the issues that common folk, like your working class American, faces, but they just don't. They're sitting around virtue signaling in this big, like, political rally, this big competition over who can hate America the most, who can hate capitalism the most. It's this super exclusive group of what I would call self-absorbed narcissists who got filthy rich from the evil capitalism, from the country that doesn't provide women or black people or gay people with any opportunities. These award shows, they've turned into like this masterclass in celebrity hypocrisy, starting with the ice pins that must have just like been on their seat when they walked in. It was almost as if they were handed their propaganda, handed their talking points, and sent away to the red carpet. We've got a picture on screen here of Justin Bieber and his wife, Hailey Bieber, who are wearing their ice pins. The pin actually says "Ice Out." And my question here is, what do they possibly think they're accomplishing by wearing this pin? Like, who do they think that they're helping here? And if you're watching the clip on screen, the B-roll that's playing, I feel like I can get a sense of whose idea it was to wear these pins based on the body language and the facial expressions of this couple. Speculation, and I am totally guessing, but it appears to me as if this was Hailey Bieber's idea. But what is this from Hailey Bieber? There is a tweet for everything. This is a tweet from 2012. So granted, that's, nearly 15 years ago at this point. But this tweet from Hailey, it says, "Shut up before I smack you back into your own country." I don't know the context of this tweet. And again, 15 years, it's a long time. I understand that people can change in that amount of time, but I show that to just highlight the point that most of these celebrities, they're just doing this because they feel like they have to. It's very performative. Not all celebrities, but I certainly believe that some. Before we move on to talk about the next insufferably woke celebrity, it's important to mention that Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber live in a $25.8 million mansion in Beverly Hills. When you know it, it's behind gates. It's got security. Cameras are everywhere. If your eyes aren't rolling yet, they probably will by the next video. Let's watch it. Billie Eilish. These people just simply must not use their brains, because if they did, they would know that what they're saying definitionally and logically make zero sense. Because how can you have stolen land if no one is illegal on the land, right? Like, are you picking up what I'm putting down? I think they're just hoping that you're too stupid or too lazy to question what they're saying, to think about it deeply. But the reality is you don't have to think deeply about it at all to understand that it just doesn't even make sense, right? Nobody is illegal on stolen land is so rich because it simultaneously rejects every American's right to live here, and it affirms everyone else's. These slogans that they say, like, they sound super deep until you notice that Billie Eilish, she's not packing it up. She's not leaving. She calls it stolen land while building a career, a mansion, a brand on the same land. And it's always the people who live in these gated communities. They have the most unique perspectives about the law. And by the way, nearly every single piece of land on this entire planet was stolen or conquered or traded or absorbed by someone at some point. Yet again, the slogan, it only seems to surface when people want to take a swing at the United States of America. And for all of our flaws that we have as a nation, we still maintain one of the most structured and generous legal immigration systems of anywhere you could go in the entire planet, which I am very grateful for because it allowed my husband to come into this country via legal immigration. He did it the right way. And I will tell you that my husband, as an immigrant, an alien, I call him an alien all the time, my husband, as an immigrant, a legal immigrant who did it, again, the right way, he has so much respect and appreciation for ICE, for kicking the people out, deporting the people who don't do it the right way, because it has ultimately an effect on legal immigration and that process as well. So if we want to have an honest conversation, which we should, right? If that's really the goal here, maybe we should start with some consistency instead of these slogans or mantras that are dressed up as like moral insight from people who likely have little to zero understanding of these issues at all. I think the best part about Billie Eilish and her comments and what has surfaced in the days following is that we have now learned that her mansion in LA is actually settled on native and ancestral land. How perfect is that? Again, peak hypocrisy. We have now found out that Billie Eilish is living in a mansion built on ancestral land taken from the Tongva tribe, which they have now issued a statement. The Tongva tribe has said, as the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin, we do understand that her home is situated in our ancestral land. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. They continued on to say, we do value the instance when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country. Let me tell you what they're saying here. They're saying, thanks for bringing this to our attention, Billie. Now give us back our land. So Billie has an opportunity here. She has an opportunity to put her money where her mouth is, to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. But I would be willing to bet my house that is probably also on stolen land, I would bet my house that Billie Eilish isn't willing to give up her home in Los Angeles. But that's fine. Let's say she doesn't want to do that. Let's say she doesn't want to contact the Tongva tribe and give back her mansion, her $14 million mansion. Cool. The least she could do based on her comments, based on her remarks, her performance at the Grammys, based on where she says her heart's at, is to open her home. Why don't you do that, Billie? Why don't you open your home to the illegal immigrants that President Trump has campaigned on deporting, that he won the popular vote by campaigning on to deport? Open your front door, leave your door unlocked, open the gate, turn off your security cameras, let them come live with you. Take them off the street where they are terrorizing everyday Americans. You know, the people that you're trying to act as if you understand by making these remarks, let the illegal immigrants come live in your home. I'm sure in your $14 million mansion, you have many, many guest rooms. And just really quick, like a very quick history lesson here while we're at it. Who does she think the Tongva tribe took the land from? Where does she think they got the land? Because they moved into Southern California thousands of years after it had already been occupied by a more ancient tribe than them, okay? The Tongva tribe, they killed and they displaced the inhabitants and took it over. And if they get to claim the title of indigenous, then guess what? So do we. I'm really of the mind that you're either functionally mentally challenged, brainwashed, or both if you feel it necessary to honor indigenous land in the way that we've seen done at these award shows and the way that we saw done at the DNC earlier last year. But Billie, let's say you don't want to give your mansion back. You don't want to contact the Tongva tribe or open up your home. Maybe a good way to reconcile what you're saying here is to make your concerts free to the public. That includes food, drink, parking, merch. Just make it all free, right? Because, I mean, like these pesky borders keeping us in our country safely, you have security measures and barriers at your concerts. Just stop doing that. You don't need that. You don't need screening or metal detectors or names on a list or security checkpoints. Just let everyone in. Let it be a free-for-all. Don't charge anything for it. And that's the thing. Like, could you imagine what would happen to me if I tried to enter into the Grammys illegally? Like, do you think I would just be, waved in, sat at a table, and given a glass of champagne? No, I would be forcibly, and rightfully so, ejected by probably a big burly security guard. Okay. I could show you 20 more artists who also felt the need to deliver these liberal political statements. But that's not everyone who was there. Jelly Roll, by far, in my opinion, gave the best acceptance speech after winning Best Contemporary Country Album. Listen, he thanks the Lord. He thanks his wife. He thanks his record label. He thanks his fans. He brings out a little Bible, a small little Bible, and he speaks gospel to a room full of people who desperately need to hear the gospel. That is, to me, is far more real and brave than subscribing to and reciting these incantations to signal loyalty to a political tribe. What he said is perfect. He said that Jesus Christ is for everybody, not left or right or red or blue or Democrat or Republican or gay or straight or black or white. He says Jesus is for everyone. And his story, his life story, is the epitome of that. He went from doing drugs, in jail, locked up, and now he's on stage where he just won a Grammy. Nobody is too far gone for the goodness and the graciousness and the mercy of our Lord and Savior, our Creator. Other people, they took that stage and they basically just started praising themselves in their virtue signaling to the world, reminding everyone how great they are, how morally superior they are for their opinion on ICE and immigration. But Jelly Roll, really, he did the opposite. He took the attention off of himself and he praised Jesus. He was light in a very, very dark room.